Daniel, Julie, thanks for being here. We're going to talk about Julie's progress and just a couple other different things that may help a lot of people, from motivation to scientific discoveries to sticking to it and doing it right. One of the biggest problems people have with making progress with any fitness program, weight loss program, nutrition, they often bear the mark of the last truck that hit them, meaning they change what they're doing all the time because they're always hearing a different way to do things. So, and because of the rapid changes, they end up never really fully understanding where they're getting any results from. And with most of the programming that they choose, they might get no results. So it leaves the individual sort of spinning their wheels for a long period of time and never really getting anywhere. And the only really smashing success stories are when somebody finds something that really works and they just stick to it. So Julie, congratulations.
Thank you.
Why don't you you tell a little bit of your story? And if Julie, you know, if you're a little bit shy, then Daniel's going to ask questions to get you to, you know, share the most important stuff. So go ahead.
Okay, so basically, I had a life crisis, and I ended up in a rehab facility that also has a long-term care side to it. And I was consistently 650 pounds. And the highest I ever got up was 700 pounds. And today I'm 334. Now, I had worked hard doing my own bed exercises on my own and everything. And I also had the help of the rehab staff, which Tony basically heads up. And he's my physical therapist. And I came here at Paradise for Parents home at October 4th of last year. And then by then I had lost 100 pounds on my own doing exercises and stuff. But I want to get back to life. So long and short of it is, Hal had contacted Daniel, and the three of us have been a team for my success.
Just to let people know, Hal is the owner of the home where Julie lives.
Hal had gotten your X3 system, and Daniel had put me on the carnivore diet with intermittent fasting at night, so it wasn't as hard as, say, the daytime. And I had, starting, I think it was it 4 high carb days, 3 low carb days at first, Daniel?
So first we do 3 high for low, and we kept some complex carbohydrates in for the high calorie days, and the 4 low calorie days you did no carbohydrates at all, only carnivore diet. And you did intermittent fasting on low days, OMAD, 1 meal a day. And on the high calorie days, there was no restriction on timing, so you didn't have to do intermittent fasting, but you could.
From October 4th till now, I've lost, I think I was 174 pounds, and it's been great. It's nice to get back to life. Like, it's nice to have, you know, like my face and my neck showing. And
just a little correction, you lost 214.
How many?
214 pounds.
I totally.
Yes.
Hey, it's a good problem to have when you can't keep
on October 4th.
Right.
On October 4th, you came at 558.
Yeah. So that's pretty much.
Tell me a little bit, Julie, how did X3 help you get from the bed on your feet? How did it help you in moving and strengthening the body and start being a little bit more mobile?
Okay, so the way it helped me was we had to modify everything for me a little bit, because I still use my walker. I still, you know, I still in a wheelchair, but I can stand up pretty sturdy. And so the X3, we kind of did modifications either in my wheelchair or when I had to stand up, I had to make sure that my walker or the post of my bed was in front of me so that I could balance while somebody else had helped put the bar, bring the bar up so that I could use it. But gradually, as I got better at it, I'm able to bring the equipment out by myself and set it up in front of me and use my walker still to stand up and balance for a second, and then to like pull the bar up for the waist to shoulder exercise. And it was funny because that size that I struggle with the most, Daniel knows, there's a few videos of me where I was shaking.
None of them are easy.
Yeah.
Can you break down a little bit more the adjustments that we had to do for your X3 exercises, so other people who could be similar to you could understand what to do with the X3 when they're your size?
The X3 has different exercises, like one of them, or I think about 3 of them, where you use the bar and you have the band behind you. And so instead of being able to stand like a normal person, we had me sit in my wheelchair and do those exercises.
The chest press.
Yeah. And the I'm sorry, I can't remember the exercise where you pull it back.
No problem. I'll help you with that. Go for it.
Where you pull it back, we actually put a clamp on my bed with the band behind it and the bar so that I can pull back like the rows part.
Rows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then for, like I had said, for the waist to shoulder exercise and the curls, I basically had to have someone hold my wheelchair for me while I got up. And then I grabbed on my walker, I stepped up on the little plate. The plate's not very high, so it's a lot easier to step up on. And then someone would hand me the bar with the band already put underneath it. And I would lift up as best as I could. But as I got better at it, I was able to lift up higher and just advance in bands. And that's the thing that I really love about it, is that it has different strength bands. So if you're a beginner, you can totally begin at the smallest band and work your muscles that way. And you go, I think, isn't the product all the way up to 600 pounds resistance?
It depends how tall the individual is. So like when Daniel does a deadlift, Daniel's a really tall guy. So if he uses the orange band on a deadlift, he's using over 700 pounds.
Oh, wow.
It's, maybe 650 for me. But, all of it's relative. Like, I think one of the points that a casual observer who's watching our video here may not fully understand is that X3 is very accommodating. Like, it allows you to exhaust yourself with heavy loads, but a person in your situation, you might not be able to even work out with even lightweight loads, like in a gym type environment.
Right.
It gives you the opportunity to do a lot of things that just wouldn't be practical to do. And then you're triggering the growth of muscle, which then the muscle itself becomes a metabolic engine that's using more calories. And as you're metabolizing your body fat, it becomes a bigger engine to help you do that even faster. It's one of the challenges with overweight people that can't necessarily move around much. There's not a lot they can do. And so they end up being in a situation where they can't use a lot of calories during the day because they're just immobile. And now we engaged your body. I say we, I wasn't there. I see myself inside the product. It's one of those situations where you're just getting that amplified benefit.
Yeah.
That's great.
Can you break down a little bit? How did you train your lower body? How did you train your legs so people who are, in a similar position like you could understand how to incorporate light exercises in their routine?
Okay, so how I trained it was one big thing is the squats. Like the squat with the bar, you're supposed to stand up onto the plate with the band and squat. Like I couldn't do that because of my fitness level.
Sure.
So what we would have people do is hold my chair so it's sturdy enough. And I would do what they call sit to stand. Sit to stands is very something that they use a lot in physical therapy. It's just basically where you stand up and you sit down, and you stand up and sit down. And it helps you strengthen your legs in a squat type of way and the beginnings of it, you know, but also Daniel had me walking a lot more. And so there's a video of me on my Instagram where I in the driveway walking back and forth, and I actually had my wheelchair backed up against the house so that I could walk a distance, walk back and sit down and rest until my body was okay enough to get up and walk down there and walk back again, and to just keep doing that, just laps like that. And especially obese people that cannot do a lot of exercises, the most important point is you do what you can, because if you don't use it, you will lose it. And so you do what you can. You do what you can, and as your body gets better, it will do more. And that's the miracle of the body, you know, that it strengthens and it becomes stronger. And you know, when Hal had brought the X3, he said to watch a video on it. And so I watched a video on it, and I was very impressed how it exhausts the muscles at certain points, and it gives you that muscle strength workout without, like you said, where you don't have to weight lift. So there's somebody like me that's just beginning to get back into exercising, and in that sense of trying to do resistance bands or weights, I think it's a lot safer, because you're not gonna, if you fall, heaven forbid, you're not gonna have like this huge bar and weights on the end of it fall on top of you.
Right.
You know, it's a resistance thing. So if it's too much, you just let go a little and you're fine, you know.
Yeah, just put it down, and the weight becomes zero.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Can you describe, Julie, how fast have you noticed any benefits and changes after you started the program, the whole nutrition, fasting, X3 thing? How quickly would you say you started noticing changes in your body?
Well, I started noticing just basically first the face. I had a double chin. Like I wish I had a picture to show you guys from last year, because I was really chunky in the face and had a double chin, you know. And that was even after I lost 100 pounds. But your face gets thinner at first, it starts thinning out, and then your legs get a little thinner, and then your arms. So that's the wonderful part about losing weight and using strength training, is you to discover what yourself looks like underneath all that. You know,
what do you think the time frame would be when you started noticing those changes? And how many weeks have you started feeling like something is changing?
I'd say probably 3 weeks. 3 weeks. I could definitely feel the difference with the carnivore diet, and sometimes it's a blur a little bit because of everything. But
I mean, if you look at everything you've been through, you went from being stuck in bed to being freed from that.
Right.
You got your life back. Yeah. So Daniel and I are so proud of you. He's been giving me the details, as you're probably. It's one of the hardest things to do, because food is now designed to be addictive.
Yeah.
And I make sure that anyone who's overweight or obese comes to the company, or I end up talking to, I never want people to blame themselves, though accountability is very important. You can be accountable for fixing the problem, but when you look at how foods have been engineered, and I'm talking about packaged foods here, you know, not vegetables or fruits or meat. It's the stuff that is actually engineered so that you have one and you don't want to stop eating them. And they are working and using drug addiction as a benchmark. Like, give that some thought. Like, people hooked on, whether it's opiates or whatever, that's the benchmark that a lot of food scientists are using. And this is their mandate. This is their job. They're paid to do. Design food so that when you start eating it, you have a lot of trouble stopping. And then it happened to you, and it's happened to, hundreds of thousands of other people, where all of a sudden your life completely changes.
Yeah.
And you're stuck. And most of the cases are not necessarily as dramatic as yours, but I've seen people unable to get in and out of certain automobiles, and it's like, it's embarrassing, and it's like, then people start to blame themselves, and it's like, just all you gotta do is what you did. You take accountability. You say, okay, I can fix this problem, and you just, once you make that decision, you can do it.
Yeah.
Julie, can you tell us a little bit more about the thought process behind what John just described, how to trigger yourself and make yourself to start working towards a change? What goes through your mind? How do you make yourself to do the work?
So basically, I think you have to find a big enough reason that works for you. Like, for me, in all honesty, it was that I wanted my life back, because someday I really want to be a wife and a mother. There's no way I can be that when I'm being taken care of in bed because I can't move. You know what I mean? So you, first of all, have to have a big enough reason. Second of all, I think, like, journeys, when they say it begins with 1,000 little steps, that's the thing. It's the little things that you do every single day. Like, you pick one and you work on it. You know what I mean? You're not going to be perfect ever. It's okay. And it's okay to say, I messed up. It's okay. Let me try again. And I think that's the most important part, is you have to remember that food and exercise go together. You can't just have one or the other. They're a couple. Okay. They're a couple that just can't be separated. And you have to do things for yourself to try to be healthier and try to make good choices and try to say, okay, I'm gonna try to exercise again today. But yes, definitely a big enough reason,
Gotcha.
and you find that reason.
Gotcha. So you have lost over 214 pounds in 6 months, Julie. You are the biggest transformation I had the pleasure to be part of. And the biggest and the quickest, over 214 right now, which is right now you're even lower than your weight last weigh-in. Tell us a little bit more about the challenges that you have faced on this journey. What challenges were you facing?
So I really faced one thing was, when I was in the facility, the food was not nutritious at all. So that's one thing that I faced. I had to use my own pocket money to buy healthy food so that I could try to lose that first 100 pounds. The secondly, things that I faced was just learning, for one thing, that cardio does not make you really lose weight. It's great for the heart, but building up that muscle is what's gonna like burn all that fat, and I had to learn that the hard way, because I had a Fitbit, and I literally was doing modified exercises in bed, following a YouTube video for 600 calorie burn. And I have pictures on my Instagram of me showing that I burned 1,000 calories, but I'm like, why am I still gaining weight? Even though I was trying to do food properly and the exercise part. So that's a big challenge I face, learning that building that muscle is important. And that's
so there's two things you said that are really important that you understand. And I want to make sure that everybody who sees this understands those things. you stopped seeing, like, you knew you needed nutritious food.
Mhm.
It wasn't being provided for you. People need to stop viewing eating as their entertainment. You know, when you watch a movie, that's entertaining. When you're eating, you're giving your body the nutrients it needs to either survive poorly or thrive and be phenomenal. And when you think of it that way, the choice is really easy.
Yeah.
Like carnivore nutrition is, you know, now people are like, well, how would you rank carnivore nutrition against some of the other, you know, diets that we see out there? It's sort of like, okay, carnivore nutrition is phenomenal. And I don't really see any other approach as even worth talking about, because that's where our nutrition comes from. It comes from animal protein and the associated vitamins and minerals that are in animal protein, and are, you know, the fact that for 2 million years, humans were the apex predator on Earth. You know, that's all we ate. And just keeping in mind that you knew you needed the nutrition, which means that you flipped a switch in your head, which says, what I'm eating is not for my entertainment. It is fuel for what my body needs.
Yeah.
That is absolutely profound. And the other thing, it seems like you got to get to a point where you're just absolutely sick and tired of the direction you were going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the, you know, a lot of people need to have a heart attack before they come to that realization.
I see that a lot.
You know, now they have a damaged cardiac system, and then they realize, like, I don't want to end up like this. You know, I don't want to, you know, miss out on life. I want to be able to participate in everything. And yeah, you probably just woke up one morning and you said, I am so sick of this shit and I'm going to fix it. And that's what it takes. That moment, and that moment becomes a chain reaction into all the other moments. And you're right. Sometimes you do have a day where you're like, wow, I really kind of miscounted my calories here. Or, you know, all right, here's one. I had this discussion with my wife. I had no idea there were so many carbohydrates in a lime. Like a lime, that's it. The perseverance is absolutely fantastic. But I have a question. So I want you to think back on when you were 700 pounds. That was your biggest, right?
Yeah.
Right. And how you felt versus how you feel today. Is it just absolute night and day difference?
Oh my gosh. Like, it was miserable. It was so miserable because you're swelled up with water. It's miserable. It's miserable to be in that state, you know. It's so, like, I can't even tell you the depth of hell that happens when you get that big. Like,
well, I mean, that's when people have trouble breathing. Human body's formed. We have a void in our chest that is not, you know, like when we lift weights, often or do X3, you pull in air and then you hold your breath for a second. It's called the Valsalva maneuver, but it basically keeps the middle of your body rigid. So there's not an air void in here, but people do that so there's more structural integrity of the body. But when somebody is that overweight, that air void that is your lungs is actually being pushed on by your body weight, and you can't even access your lung capacity, which means you're not getting the proper amount of blood to or oxygenated blood to the brain. And you're thinking, like, I'm sure that your memories from the time when you were that size will always be sort of hazy because your brain wasn't even getting enough oxygen. Like, I don't think people realize just how hard on the body that is. And now you're an absolute expert to talk about that, because, like, all the memories you're creating now, you'll remember them forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, your brain's getting the proper amount of oxygen.
I have a question for you, Julie. So how did you deal with the cravings after foods that you used to eat? Because you got up to the 700 pounds by eating, different kinds of foods that you're eating right now. And you made a rapid change, the life-changing change. So tell me, what about cravings? How did you deal with cravings? How did you not eat the foods that you used to eat?
So one of the biggest things that I was a fan of was energy drinks. Those have a lot of calories and they're bad on your heart.
What was it?
And so they're bad on your heart, like energy.
What energy drinks? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What used to be your favorite brand?
Yeah. My favorite what?
Brand? Which energy drink did you go for?
Monster. That was mine.
It's like the worst one. That is so funny. Yeah. Like, and that's another thing that's designed to be highly addictive. Yeah.
So
God,
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. The way I gave up Monsters was like I was in the hospital and from cellulitis, again, that's part of the hell that I speak of. You get cellulitis, your blood can go sepsis from having this. It's a skin infection that like makes your skin hot and red and then oozes out and then dries up like a sunburn and then you're done. But you reach you can reach over like 101 up or above fever and then you're in the hospital. So I was in the hospital for cellulitis. They turned me, my heart went out of rhythm. They actually had to do the procedure to stop and shock my heart. Now the injections slowed it down enough to where my heart went back into rhythm. And then after that, it was awful because they sent hospice to me. Like literally for some months I was sent hospice to, and I thought I was gonna die. I was like, okay, this is my death sentence. This is how it ends. But I was like, no more Monsters for me. No, that is it. No more. And so me being able to work out in my bed and take that away off the table, I actually ended up going back to the cardiologist like a year or whatever, like close to a year later, and they said my heart was fine. That I had like helped it back to health.
Yeah.
So it took an extreme situation for you to give it up.
Yeah.
It's just like John mentioned before. It sometimes takes a heart attack for people.
Yeah, that was your moment where you're like, I'm sick of this.
Right. Well, I speak of the Monsters part, but like I had been trying to like constantly do better in food all the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I switched to Powerade and then got rid of Powerade, but it's just, one thing I would like to mention though, is it is very important when you're doing this, especially for a person that ends up obese, or even if you have like a stress eating problem, you really should get a good therapist. Because I think a lot of the times, I was thinking about this morning, my experience was I wasn't, when I was younger, really allowed to state my needs or state this is my boundaries. And so I think sometimes that we end up gaining weight because we're not able to stand up for ourselves because we're not either taught or not allowed to. And I think sometimes when people have weight problems, they might have the same thing that I did, where I just, but as I learned to take care of my body, I learned about boundaries. Okay, I'm not gonna, let this person treat me this way. I feel better about myself, like physically and in beauty wise, you know what I mean? And you feel more pride for yourself. And I think sometimes you need that.
let me share a story with you. And I haven't talked about this in a long time, but and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention this doctor's name because he ended up selling his clinic, and he signed like a non-compete when he sold his he and his wife a weight loss clinic. So I'm just not going to mention his name. But what he told me was that, and he said that, you know, somebody who's carrying an extra 20 pounds of body fat, it's just because they're not really paying attention to what they're eating, or they don't maybe know enough about nutrition, or they're just sort of eating what's been put in front of them. But when people are 200, 300 pounds overweight, he said, it is the psychology that is the problem, because what they're doing is they're using food to medicate something. So, and I think you just told me, like, you had been in situations where you felt like those situations were out of control, and eating is satisfying. You could control that.
Right.
So you replaced your control mechanism with, I can eat whatever I want, so I feel better. And, you know, that's obviously highly damaging, but that wasn't what was in your head at the time. So that's why that ends up happening. And then of course, you end up choosing foods that are addictive, because that's what everybody ends up, you know, no one ever became morbidly obese because they just really liked eating apples. You know, like it's like it's the addictive, it's the food you just can't stop eating. And so those two things end up going hand in hand, and that's when it becomes out of control. But being aware of the fact that, you know, people can use food to medicate something, and the fact that you can decide to not be pushed around or not be treated a certain way, and you don't need to go eat something. You just need to not be pushed around.
Right.
Like it was probably a brutal mental exercise to get to that conclusion. True?
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. I love that point. Now, Julie, that's everything in your past. Now, tell us a little bit more about your future, your dreams. What's out there for you? Look at her. Look at her right now. Check her smile right now. Check her smile right now. The future is so bright. That's why she's laughing.
Right.
So this is the exciting part. I love hearing about your dreams and about your future vision, because I feel like every person who was or who is in the shoes where you were needs to hear that they need to think about future and vision and dreams. So tell us about yours.
Yeah. So I have a boyfriend. I'm not going to say names right now because it'll be revealed probably later in my life, you know, who it is. But like, he's the sweetest man in the face of this planet. You know what I mean? Like, he is literally like the person that I've always wanted, you know, the person that I was always searching for. And I can't wait to have a future with him. And I also have so many ideas, like, and dreams and aspirations that'll only become better when I'm able to walk without a walker, and I'm, you know, able to be fully independent. And that's part of my dream. And, you know, I really, if I start crying, please forgive me, I'm a girl. But I have a really soft spot for the military. My boyfriend's a military man. My father, he was a Vietnam veteran. But one thing that really gets me is how we have veterans on the street that don't have homes, that they've went through unspeakable things to make sure that I am sleeping at night and safe. You know, that just like stabs me in the heart that they're out there like that. So one thing that I hope to learn is I hope to start learning how to make a lot of money, but not just for myself.
Awesome.
Different endeavors, so that I can actually have land to farm vegetables and fruits and have, have just start feeding veterans on the street. And the more money you make, the more I want to invest, the more making more, so that I can start like hopefully a nationwide thing of making homes for veterans where they can go, and also making them feel like they're wanted and they're needed in this society by giving them jobs to help other veterans that are out there, or they're protectors, they're natural protectors, you know what I mean? So give them something to protect again, something for them again. And just, but also I want to help other people that are bariatric or having a hard time with their weight, and let them know you can have your dreams, you can have everything that you wanted. Like I totally prayed to God, please help me up this mountain of my weight. And he helped me, you know what I mean? That message needs to go out to other people, that if you turn to God or whoever is your higher source that you believe in, that they will help you, and have that faith in that, that in your heart. But also just like I've always wanted to be a story writer for children's stories and young adult stories. And just I want to live by the ocean somewhere. And because I've always loved the ocean. It's so funny. I've always loved it, but I've been in Arizona and I never thought that I'd be able to see it because I lived in a little copper mining town. That's where I grew up. So I'm like, I'm never gonna see that. But I did get to see it like twice in my life. So I want to live by the ocean, but I want things to just get better. I want to be able to have children. I want to be able to serve people. And I think that's the biggest thing, is you can't serve people when you have a weight problem, when everyone else has to take care of you. But it's nice to be able to give people hope, and it's nice to be able to help people out. And it doesn't have to be this major big thing. Sometimes it's as simply as just like helping out your neighbor, or look, observe around you and see what is lacking in somebody's life and help them get that,
Love it. So that's why I brought it up, because I know how full of dreams and visions you are. I love the vision, especially about the veterans. We just got to work on the vegetable and fruit parts, because if you truly want to feed them, we got to get you some cows and stuff. So,
We need more land.
we'll get you a little more land for that. But again, amazing. I love listening to your story and to your dreams, and also to your business desires. It's incredible because, like you said, if you don't make a lot of money, you don't have resources to help all those people. And this vision also fuels your heart, so you can keep going and keep moving forward and keep losing weight. So I also like to mention that we have a plan of getting the skin removal surgery at about 180, which we're hoping we're going to remove about 40 pounds of the skin, and we're gonna get Julie down to about 140. We'll see how the 40 looks like, but ideally about, you're 5'2", Julie? 5'4", 5'2"?
4'11" and a half.
5'4", sorry, it's 5'4". So yeah, we're shooting for about a 120 body weight. So at about 180, start doing the procedures, and 120 is where Julie should really be for the rest of her life. So we got about 200 more pounds to go from here. But what's the most beautiful part about this transformation is that you're already 50% and further. You're not 50% and below, you're 50% and further, because now you only got about 200 pounds to lose. You're already over 214 down. So you're closer to the goal than to your previous body that you had. So I'm very proud of you for doing that. Thank you so much, Julie, for joining us for today's podcast. Your story is incredibly encouraging to everybody who suffers from the obesity like you suffered. I think you helped a lot of people understand what to do and what to think about and how to change their mindset when they want to start their journey, because I believe every single person who is in the shoes where you were is always thinking about it, that I can't live like this. I know I don't have much time. I know my heart will give out. At some point it will. And these people are thinking about it constantly. And it takes someone like you who steps out of that circle and tells their story and shares their story openly. to make them think about their choices and make them think about their journey and make them make a change. So I think you can be a superhero for people like that because they're going to trust you a lot more than they trust me. You know, I've been a bodybuilder. I've been a strong, muscular guy my whole life. And those people might think like, okay, what does he know about obesity, right? But if they look at someone like you, well, she was in our shoes. She understands how we feel. She knows how the life is being obese. So our goal eventually is to get Julie to lose over 300 pounds in a year, write a book, make it public, and get a lot of publicity around Julie so she can start helping people and pursue with her goals. Because if you drop over 300 pounds in 1 year, that's a national story. That's absolutely insane. If you play the game of marketing and publicity right, everybody can know about this and deserves to know about this because
That's right.
I have not heard about story like this. You watch my 600-pound life, they don't get results like this because those people don't have mindset like you do. That's why I think you're very special. And you know, the direction that you're heading is just incredible to be part of. So thank you so much, Julie, for coming today.
Thank you.
I'll see you later, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.